Hello, my name is Andrew Campbell, and today I'm going to be doing a simple demonstration of web scraping. Uh, if you spend any amount of time on the internet, you probably have heard about web scraping, and here I'm going to demystify it just a little bit and just show you a really simple example of a Python script that's going to do some web scraping. Um, Essentially, what web scraping is that there is a website out there that has some kind of information that you want to have. Okay, maybe you're going to do some analytics with it. Maybe you want to grab the data and look at it comparatively to historical references on whatever the data is that you have. And so what I've done here is I've come up with I found a good example of data that we can scrape. And we've got a website over here that has uh, the exchange rates for various countries. And if we expand it, we can look at over here, and it's the what do we got? The top 30 here. Yeah, and how they compare to one another. And it's a very simple table on a website. Now, if you're going to be doing some scraping, if you find a website that has actual tables, it actually is very handy. And it's very easy to scrape data off of tables from websites. So first things first is you find the source that you want to grab some data from, and what for my purposes today, I just want to grab the first two columns. I want to compare everything. I want to get all the data that has these countries, their currency compared to the American. Okay. Um, so what I really need is I need all the data in this column, and I need all the data in this column here. So what we need to do is we need to actually do a little bit of inspection on this website. Right click, inspect, and what we're going to do is it's going to bring us over here. And the thing about web scraping that is actually fairly simple to grasp is that for a website, we've got our HTML, we've got all our code on that website. And what web scraping does is that it takes all of that data, all of that code, and it puts it into a searchable grouping of text. And when we use our web scraping and our Python scripting, we're able to filter through that grouping of text to find a very specific piece of data. And so that's why tables are extremely easy to grab data from, because all you have to do is hover above the section that you want. So we're going to be looking for T body, uh, table row. We're going to want to grab all the table rows. We're going to grab the table data here. So we want the text for that, and we're also going to want the text data in this field here. Okay, so that's really it. We're going to be grabbing the table body. We're gonna iterate through every single row, tick 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 tick, as we go down. And for every time we go through a row, we're going to grab this data, the text here, and we're going to grab the text over here. And that's really it. So let's go over and let's build ourselves a very simple Python script that's going to spit out this data into our command prompt. Okay, so I've got my text editor of choice open over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just type out the code here, and I'm going to explain a little bit about what I'm doing. And this is going to show you how really simple it is actually to do web scraping. You know, web scraping can be a simple process or it can be an extremely complicated process. And that's why, depending on the source that you're grabbing data from, it really determines how complicated your script is going to be. So you're going to see here that this is actually a simple process. So first things first, we're going to import some modules. So if you're doing any amount of web scraping, you are going to need to have the BS4 module pre-installed. And we're using Beautiful Soup here. And we are going to have to go to the internet to grab the data. So we have to actually import the requests module. A very powerful module. Highly recommend doing some research on that. So when we go on the internet, we do need to input URLs. So here's a variable called URL, and we're going to grab the data there. So that's the link to the website there. We're going to keep going down. So we're going to use our request module, and we're actually going to get the URL. Okay. Over here, we're creating an object for Beautiful Soup. And essentially what this is going to do is it's creating the grouping of text that we're going to actually be able to parse through based on some strings that we're going to be looking for. So in this example, I'm using HTML parser, but there are other options available to you. So if you're doing some research on Beautiful Soup, go ahead and explore and take a look at some of those options. I'm going to create another variable, results. We're going into the soup module here, a soup object, and I want to find T-body. And as you remember, we went back into the website and we actually saw that. So we're going to actually go and create a variable that contains the entire T-body. Another simple variable here. I've given it a fairly obvious name, rows. And in here, when we have the T-body, I want to find all of the TRs, table row. And I'm going to create a list that I can iterate through. Okay. So now here we are, we're starting our iteration. I'm going to, for every row inside of this list, I'm going to cycle through, and I'm going to create a new variable. Right now I'm going to be calling it cell, right? Remember there was two cells that I wanted to look at. I want to find, every time I go to a new row, I want to find all of the TDs. Okay, and we have a ton of them. And so we're creating essentially right now we're creating another list as we're going through this major collection of table rows. Now, if we look at this is where things get maybe a little bit confusing. But the find all is basically when we were at that in the very first table data, there was a link, and we were able to click on the Australian dollar to see that's a link. Brazilian real, that's a link, and we're looking at for ahrefs here. And so when I create that, there's going to be a text associated with that link. So let's keep going. I'm going to create another variable here. So what we've done here is I've created a variable. Remember, we're iterating through all the rows that have a table row, and I'm creating a variable called country, and I've got a list here of all of the hrefs that are occurring in the cell 0, the very first one. And so what I want to do is grab the text that's occurring at that point. So here we go. The variable will be country, and the comparison to US dollars would be the text value that's over here in the same cell. Okay, so now we're iterating through the rows, and I've created two new variables. And once I've got that, then what I need to do is I need to spit it out onto my screen. And so there's a few ways we can do it. We can make a whole brand new list that exists outside of this. But for simplicity's sake, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to spit it out, these values, in our terminal as they are processed. All right, and let's give it a try. So I'm going to open up a command prompt where I've saved my test scrape here. And we are going to run our Python script. And there you go. We've successfully gone to the internet, grabbed the data that we need, and we are doing a comparison. Now, this is very rough looking, and the data can be presented in many different ways. But this is just a very simple demonstration of how web scraping works, and there you go. If you found this video informative, please go ahead and subscribe and like. That would be great. And there's going to be a lot more awesome videos like this coming. All right. Thanks. Bye.